That's really good. Okay. So yeah, this is something I feel really comfortable with getting inside of it more and kind of feeding it.
MOTIV Shadow Tank is well named because there are several mysteries here, so we're going to shine some light on everything and see what we reveal. It's releasing on October 22nd with the Raptor Rain. That's a pretty typical thing for MOTIV to do whenever they release a tank, which is smart, as this isn't going to be a daily driver for your average league bowler. Our test pattern is Kegel Chromium at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, and because of the core numbers on this one and also wanting to compare it to the Black Hammer, I used my typical urethane layout, which changes the usual 5-inch pin to pap to a 4-inch pin to pap. Everything else stays the same. Pretty normal thing for most people drilling purples or blacks or something like this to go strong on the layout to get all they can out of the core. This one was a surprise. Typically us in the review space get stuff a few weeks early with an email breaking everything down, so we have some time to get out and test the ball and get our videos put together, which happened with the new Raptor. But then the Shadow showed up just a day or two before announcement day. No email or information. The Raptor had even been kind of somewhat leaked, or there were some rumors floating around. But some of us didn't even get the ball or know about it until after seeing it publicly announced. So they really did sneak this one in on us. Happy surprise, or nice surprise as far as I'm concerned. The tank line has had several different cores. This is the Flux core from the Desert, Purple, and Yellow Jacket, plus the original Thrills. RG is 257, and the differential is 015 and 15 pounds, so higher Primal Ghost-esque RG, but same differential as the Purple and Black Hammer, which is par for the course for typical urethane. High RGs, low differentials, early smooth cover for traction early, and then control down lane. Friction M7 Pearl MCP, or microcell polymer, is the cover. They designed it to be earlier and slower than the M6 cover from the Rampage Pearl, and described it as the most urethane-like MCP ball so far. It's also a 78 hardness ball. I'll get into that later. It comes at 1,000 grit and has the Duramax additive to slow down lane shining, and I'm a big fan of Duramax. It works very well. Most urethane comes at 500, but 1,000 is plenty for this one, as it's already pretty early and smooth. I'm not going to follow the typical review outline for this one because it's different. I obviously won't be moving around with it. I started in the 10 to 5 zone, which is usually my straightest for reactive balls, and I didn't move any deeper. Imagine a urethane venom shock, and that's what this feels like. It's the same climbing arc that's a little directional, or can be directional, but without standing up or going forward or doing the hook stop thing. Note from a drilling perspective, this did not drill like urethane, so it's not something partial or actually urethane that they're just calling MCP. I hate drilling purples and blacks because the shavings from urethane balls ribbon, meaning they don't break up. They turn into long ribbons and wrap around the drill bit, and then you have to stop and untangle them, break them off. Drilling a reactive ball is kind of like drilling into wood. The cover kind of turns into wood shaving-like pieces that go right up the vacuum. The Shadow drilled like a typical reactive ball, so it's not urethane. I know MCP isn't and hasn't ever been actual urethane, but I'm just putting this out there in case conspiracy theories pop up or something. Apparently it is, however, slow absorbing enough to show up on the USB-C lists, which explains why it's 78 hardness. That's why I wanted to mention it's not urethane, so people wouldn't go, well, why make it 78 hardness otherwise? It's because, while not being urethane, it still falls inside of the slow oil absorbing category that's partially banned or restricted for certain things by USB-C, so the easiest way to explain things here is just treat it like you'd treat a Black Hammer. Won't get any further into that here, so let's talk ball reaction. I didn't move inside at all because while I could have tricked it and gotten it to technically bend some, I'd have had to help it a lot. We all know what urethane does, what it's intended to do, and what it should do for a game like mine. This definitely looks and feels like a tank. It's got the heavier, stronger rolling feel to it, despite what the core numbers would suggest, so if I rolled it too much or caught too much friction, it definitely started going, but the cover is smooth enough that if I juiced it a little or got too fast with it, it was slow making the corner. So I had some minor angle issues from 10 to 5, but I was really close. I ended up moving my feet 2 boards left and was still basically in the same area, but that just tightened up or closed my angle slightly, so I didn't have to catch it so much or roll it so much, and this ended up being the sweet spot. It was completely free from here the rest of the video. I was able to get out of it nice and easy, even bend it a little still, give it a bit of room, and it arced and climbed up through the pins nicely. I had a lot of room right to left, but it kept me honest front to back, meaning that if I missed inside, it'd hold. If I missed outside, it would pick up and get back. But if I got too slow or too fast, it would either hook too much or not quite finish. But that's very common of urethane balls. If you get fast, they can be late and flat, or if you get slow, they'll pick up and move. But if you keep your speed consistent, you should be in good shape from side to side. The big question is, how does it compare to the black hammer? So I brought mine out to take a look. The black comes at 500 grit, but I'd taken it to 1,000 for nationals, which I of course didn't make it to this year because of my nerve issue, so it was fresh and ready to go. The black feels cleaner to me. It feels like I can bang on it a bit more or roll it more, where if I did that with the shadow, it'd pick up earlier. They have virtually identical moves on the back end though. A little more roll in hand with the black, a little softer with the shadow, and they'd both pick up about the same place and have similar motions down lane. The black is a little cleaner and rounder, the shadow was a little earlier and more archy, but if you told me that these two covers were the same, I'd believe you because they're almost indistinguishable. They both read the lane extremely similarly. The core in the black is a 265 RG, so quite a bit higher, which explains it feeling like it's cleaner / longer or easier down the lane. The best way to describe it is that the shadow feels directly between the IQ78 and the black hammer. It's earlier and heavier rolling than the black, but not as early or heavy rolling as the IQ. It's about the same friction response as the black. It might be a touch or a hair slower, but it's also faster than the IQ, plus I think it handles angle better. The IQ likes to stay really straight, and you need a Jesper rev rate to get it to bend, but the shadow picks up and continues really well, and like the black, it will keep climbing and continuing more and more the more time you give it, or the slower you throw it, I guess. The IQ just doesn't see the lane right for me. It's too early and slow for it to ever see any action, just angle issues for days, but sometimes the black is too clean and weak, or just not enough overall, and there are now very few things I bowl where I could even use the purple. I don't bowl sport sweepers anymore, and the only place I really go where I expect to throw urethane is nationals, and no purples there anymore anyway. Plus, it's always been hit and miss for me because it's pretty punchy or responsive for urethane, so typically when I'm in urethane, it's the black. This one will be nice because it gives me a little more chug and an earlier reaction than the black without being lazy like the IQ, but I'll also be able to keep it in front of me like the black. The purple would often make me bend it or shape it more than the situation called for. It is, however, quite a bit for what's ultimately a urethane ball, though it's going to double as my new spare ball. $193.95 is kind of a weird price, but whatever. The black hammer, by contrast, is $150. The IQ78 is $160. Now, of course, I'd rather spend $200 on a good ball that I'll use and that will be effective rather than spend $160 on a doorstop, but I digress. We also have something awesome to talk about here as well, a collection from CoolWick benefiting the local rescue that we support and fundraise for, which is Positive Tales KC. Every year we do a fundraiser and giveaway for Positive Tales in December, but CoolWick reached out and offered to help all year round by creating an apparel line. We have jerseys and t-shirts and even tank tops with $5 per tank or shirt and $15 per jersey going to the rescue. More info will be coming soon in its own dedicated video, but for now just follow the link in the description to the collection if you're interested. Any support is greatly appreciated. Discount codes will not work on these items, of course. They're for charity, so we wanted to make sure the rescue gets as much as possible. Solid A for me. Now, if I'm being completely truthful, I think the black will still be my default, at least for now. I have used it a ton over the last almost 2 years now since it released. That's kind of wild to say, but I'm really comfortable with it. It's my go-to urethane look. The shadow will definitely see action and slot in right behind it, though. I do feel fairly often like I have to help the black when it's just not quite enough, so I think I'll probably end up with a Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery type of situation, which I'm happy about. If I go anywhere I'm expecting to use urethane, the shadow will be an Insta-Lock in the bag, let me put it that way, but I also think that obviously there's some clear overlap with the black to call it like it is. If you use urethane a lot, this one should be on your radar. It's already seen a lot of PBA regional use by the staffers so far, plus it'll hold its surface longer too since it has Duramax, so good things here. I'm a fan. Once again, release date is October 22nd with the Raptor Rain. That's about 2 weeks away. Part of my live commentary in comparison to the Black Hammer is following. Members get the full 20-minute in-depth version. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those below.
Because I don't normally do this, and again, this is a 4-inch pin now too, like I do my blacks and purples. So I'm just going to do the 10-to-5 thing and see what this is kind of a different deal than a normal ball review. So I'm standing on 16, looking at 10-to-5 and watching it go Brooklyn. Boy, who called that? If I can get it off my thumb right. And it does hook a lot. So this is one of them super climbing type of reactions that I might be able to give a little bit more room to. I mean, we'll see. I'm just trying to get some oil on the cover and feel it out at this point. Okay. Pretty heavy rolling for what the numbers would suggest. Because this is the thing that I feel with my black hammer. It's got a 265 RG. It's quite a bit higher up there, but this is still like a high road Supra type of RG, or primal rage, actually. Okay, so that's a little flat. I did give that one to the lane pretty nice and easy. With 78 with higher hardness bowling balls, they just don't grip quite as much. Down lane, a little slower to move, so get some oil on them, play a little bit more direct with them. Still grabbed it anyway, but it is definitely significantly heavier rolling than something like a black hammer. The black hammer just hooks early, but it feels like it's that really, it's hard to describe a core in terms of what you might describe a cover as, but the core just feels kind of clean and rolly. This ball feels like it's chugging a little bit. It feels like it's got some weight, some girth to it. It definitely rolls like a tank. Let me put it that way. That's really good. Okay. So yeah, this is something I feel really comfortable with getting inside of it more and kind of feeding it. So that's a very good sign. So if I can kind of feed it, roll it at the spot, and it'll pick up and get back up through the pins without kind of giving up or being too slow down lane, that's a very good sign. That'll hook. Don't hook too much. Remember, this pattern's weird. If I get it to 5 board too early, there is some friction there. There's not at 6 board, and there's not at 4 board. But for some reason, hitting 5 board too early will almost act like a house shot for some reason. Yeah. So it's definitely early, but it's not. And it will kind of go on the back end. It's not purple hammerish. So for those that think, oh, is this MOTIV's purple hammer? This is not MOTIV's purple hammer. This very much rolls like a tank. Both the large armored grenade shooting vehicle and the MOTIV bowling ball tank line. If I shim it a little bit, it still hooks. It hooks, and I've got my black hammer with me to take a look at. So I know there's a MOTIV video, but everybody wants to see how it's gonna compare. And if MOTIV did a good enough job, it should compare just fine, shouldn't it? I'm not necessarily sure this is their answer to any kind of urethane, but having a 78 hardness acting option, that's really good. Okay, that's the thing. That's a weird little thing. But have to finish the previous thought. Having a 78 hardness option kind of double as a spare ball with the new urethane rules, and when everybody else is throwing 78 hardness urethane, this to me feels, speaking of that, this feels directly between an IQ78 and a black hammer. This has got the earlier kind of rolling feel of the IQ78, but it's rounder, it's got more life down lane than the IQ does. So let's see if this can be my new spare ball too. Yes. All right, so we've got a twofer. This is the thing, is I've had done all kinds of things for spare balls, but settling on a urethane ball that I actually throw, so that way you can kind of double up when I go to tougher tournaments, something like nationals, where I can have both a, strike ball and a spare ball. So anyway, back to it here. Let's see what we got to do here. Okay, so yeah, it's right in between. I've got to roll it to get it to kind of go through the pins right down lane, but I've also got to be a little bit nice to it early so it doesn't pick up too soon. Okay, that one I was a little softer with. I popped it off a little bit easier and just kind of let it, I fed it to the spot instead of rolling it at the spot. That'll help. Just a little cleaner off the hand to get it to pick up later down the lane. Let's see if we can do this a couple times in a row, and then we'll move around a little bit. No, I can't. But that's a good sign. I don't really think I can get any deeper than this with it. I think it's just from where I'm standing, I've got a little bit of a shim and I've got a little bit of bounce. If I get any deeper than this, I think it's just gonna be dumb. I'm not sure if I can really get straighter than this though. Let me try just a couple boards. Standing on 14. That was not a good shot, but it acted like it was. That's encouraging. So this might actually, the 10-5 thing might, because if I get a little straighter, I don't have to bend it quite so much to get it down the lane, then I don't have to mess with I don't have to trick it to get it to finish the way that I want it to. There we go, just moving a little bit straighter. So I'm standing on 14 now. I don't really know what I'm targeting, but probably 8 to 5-ish instead of 10 to 5. And this way I don't feel like I have to, like it. I'm standing on 16, I felt like I was having to roll it to get it to pick up a little bit. This one I feel like I can just kind of jam it in there. And I feel like I have the world. I can tell right here, I feel like I kind of have the world from right here. Yeah, because that'll just, if I can just kind of lay it to 5 and let it walk up.
This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling.